Good morning, and it's a kind of a dreary day, but I still decided that I wanted to take this practice and share it with you outside. So I'm sitting outside near my field of prayer flags, and I'm ready to give you a short practice which is in the Sadhana style on the Buddha of Compassion. And the Sadhana is a practice text. In Tibetan the word is choga, but in Sanskrit it's sadhana, and it gets translated as practice text, if it gets translated at all. So most often this is called a sadhana, and a sadhana is a practice text like this. And in the ancient style, when the teachings were first put into writing after the Buddha passed, they were done on loose pieces of banana leaf, and the covers were pieces of bamboo. And the Tibetan style of preserving this history of the manner of putting these books together is called pecha. Pecha. And not to be confused with when they use the term pesha. And the Tibetans that have moved into or exiled into India have started incorporating certain words into the Tibetan language, and pesha is one of them. It means money. But this is pecha, pecha. And so we're going to do I'm going to explain this sadhana, and this comes from the Pearl Rosary collection by Khenpo Konchuk Gyaltsen, and in the Kagyu lineage, of which I have a few empowerments, and this being one of them. So when we do a sadhana, there are two types. For the open practices, this is an open practice, and to maintain it as an open practice, there will be the description of the Buddha of Compassion in front of you, or you becoming the Buddha of Compassion. And without the empowerment, you should not do the self-generation as the Buddha of Compassion. You should always do the front generation, which is seeing the Buddha of Compassion in the space in front of you, about 6 feet away and at the level of your forehead, and just big enough to be clear in its description, but just small enough to not allow the mind to become dull. So, and that's a different topic that I'll try to cover sometime when we discuss visualizations in meditation, and making them really, really strong and clear. So this is a short text to the Buddha of Compassion. In Sanskrit, his name is Avalokiteshvara. In Tibetan, the name is Chenrezig. So I will refer to him as Chenrezig often. And this practice really does help you develop. I think it has a lot to do with developing stronger neural connections to develop compassion, and having an icon or an image for which the brain can start connecting to. You know, that when we have a visual image in our head, there's a lot of mental power, if not, metaphysical or physical power, because we have an image with it. So if I say the word car, every one of you and I have a mental image that is specific to the word car that pops into our mind. And the same thing when I say, ketchup bottle. We've all got a mental image, one that is specific, and to those images, more mental energy is able to be developed. But when we say an abstract like compassion or wisdom, we really don't have a mental image. And what we're doing with working with Chenrezig practice is we're going to develop in the mind a mental image or an anchoring, and that mental image becomes an anchoring, for which we can develop more and more spiritual and physical and emotional power. So the first and most important thing is, before you do any kind of spiritual practice like this, is to take the motivation that you want to be of best benefit to all other beings. And when you have this motivation, I've noticed that whenever I'm in a rehearsal setting with color guard, if I put the new people in the front and tell them that after I'm done teaching you this exercise, you have to now turn around and teach it to the veterans, or you have to teach it to a new group of new people, they learn differently. And so I really believe strongly that in the Mahayana Buddhist practice of or the intention, Mahayana Buddhist intention or motivation to help others, it improves the way we take the information into ourselves and then apply it. So the first thing that we do when we're doing this practice is we take refuge, and that means we are going for protection to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the three jewels. We're going to them for protection, and their ability to protect us comes from the way that they teach us. There is no power above that. They are not omnipotent. The way that they help us is they guide us through the teachings that worked for them, and their own understanding and wisdom of how these teachings apply to all other beings. So first we take refuge, and the text says, Sangye Chidang Gedun La, Taktu Gyupa Kapsuchi, Magyardowa Simchinam, Sangye Sala Goporcha. And this means I go for refuge, always respectfully go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And Magyardowa Simchinam, all sentient beings who have been on my mother's, Sangye Sala Goporcha. I will establish them in the state of Buddhahood. I will lead them to the state of Buddhahood. So we say this 3 times. I confidently take refuge in Buddha, the teacher, Dharma, the teaching, and Sangha, the excellent order. From now on, I will cultivate the pure motivation to establish those who have been my mothers, all sentient beings, in the state of perfect enlightenment. I confidently take refuge in Buddha, the teacher, Dharma, the teaching, and Sangha, the excellent order. From now on, I will cultivate the pure motivation to establish those who have been my mothers, all sentient beings, in the state of perfect enlightenment. I confidently take refuge in Buddha, the teacher, Dharma, the teaching, and Sangha, the excellent order. From now on, I will cultivate with pure motivation to establish those who have been my mothers, all sentient beings, in the state of perfect enlightenment. And so then we recite this mantra. It's not really a mantra that you're going to repeat. This is a Sanskrit mantra. Mantra has the power of helping us protect our mind. Mantra has the power of helping us establish a protected environment, and mantra also helps us to develop a realization. And in this state, we say, Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddha Ham. And this is an emptiness mantra. It helps us, we analyze reality. With this mantra, we are stating we have looked at reality and we have found that everything comes into being because of causes. This is the definition of dependent origination. Things come into being depending on causes and conditions. The opposite of that is emptiness, and emptiness means that something is lacking. What's lacking? Substantiality. That things exist independent of all other things. And we find that is not the case. So when we say Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Swabhava Shuddha Ham, what we're saying is that we have analyzed everything. We've looked at it, and everything is empty. Everything comes into being because of causes and conditions. My teacher, Geshe Jinpa Sona, said, this is a... Whoops. I need to turn the bells off on this, don't I? Otherwise you guys you start doing the mantra recitation, get interrupted. So, Geshe Jinpa Sona told me that you have analyzed everything, and it's empty. Okay? So, when you say Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddha Ham, that's what this mantra means. Then comes the visualization, and this is a short practice, so it doesn't go through all the 7 limbs quite extensively as the other practices do. So this one starts off with Tompeng on the Pede Teng Dagni Tuje Chempui Gu Karsa Shelchik Chakshi Pa Dampui Tukar Talmud Char. It's the first 4 lines. And so Tompeng Ngang, Tompe means emptiness. Tompeng Ngang means the state of emptiness. Tompeng Ngang Le means from the state of emptiness. Pede Teng. This is short for Pema Dawa. Pema is a lotus, Dawa is a moon, Teng means on top of. So this is saying from the state of emptiness arises this lotus and a moon disk. And so just imagine a full moon and that being a disk of light in the center of this lotus. And so this first line says, from the state of emptiness arises a lotus and a moon disk, on top of which Danyi Tuje Chempe Ku. Danyi means myself. Tuje Chempo is great compassion. Ku means body. So this is saying, I am the embodiment. I myself am the embodiment of great compassion. This is, again, for anyone who has the Chenrezig empowerment, and that can be the 1,000-arm Chenrezig, 4-arm Chenrezig, and the rare Yawa Gyatso, which is the red Buddha of compassion, and I have this empowerment. And it's all of them are very, very powerful. So if you have the empowerment, you're allowed to do the visualization of yourself as the Buddha. Otherwise, instead of saying, I myself, you would say that the Buddha of compassion arises on this lotus, and you see the lotus out in front of you. Karsel means clear white. Karsel Shalchik means one face. So instead of doing the 11 faces, we're doing the one face and 4 arms. Chakshipa. So this says Karsel Shalchik Chakshipa, which means the clear white, one face, 4-armed embodiment or image. Good morning, Shannon. So Dampo Tukar Telmokar means the first 2 arms are at the in front of the heart, joined. And so if you Google Tibetan Buddha of Compassion, 4 arms, you're going to see that the first 2 arms are at the center of his heart holding this jewel. And it is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Then it says, Ome Tengwa Pemansin. So it says the lower 2, so the first 2 arms are up here, and then from underneath, the other 2 arms come out, and the right arm is going to be holding a crystal clear mala, rosary, string of beads. And the other one is holding, by the stem, a lotus flower. And it's in full bloom next to, about the same height as his face. So these 2 arms are like this, and the other 2 arms are like this. This one is a much more Hindu-looking image than most people are used to seeing with Buddhist images. Then it says, Gyiltrung Dardang Rinchen. Gyiltrung means his legs are in lotus position, 1 foot on each thigh, which I can't do. And Dar means the clothing. Dang Rinchen, jewels, Gen means wearing. So he's sitting in this lotus position with beautiful silk clothing, material draping him, and many jewels ornamenting him. Then Longchu Zoku Tsenpete. So this says the Longchu is the Sambhogakaya form. So when we see a Buddhist image, a Buddha, if a Buddha was alive today, sitting in front of us, this is his emanation body. And so he's able to, based on our karma, emanate in a human form so that we can connect with him. Otherwise, his mind can only be met with high-level bodhisattvas. They're the only ones that can see each other like that. And I like to think of it this way. When your pet sees you, your dog's tail is wagging and so on when he sees you, and he's all happy, and he's really in just a slight state of anxiety because he sees you as the alpha male. So the dog is seeing you as a dog, and we obviously, we give it a name, and we say, oh, she's doing this, and she's doing that. We give personification. So there's a human quality that we project onto the animal. So this is kind of the same. This Nirmanakaya form appears for us based on our ability to see the emanation. So the Sambhogakaya form is the Buddha's enjoyment body, how they see themselves. And our Sambhogakaya, a version of it, is how we see ourselves in our dreams. So this the Longchu Zoku means the completed form, the complete body. There's no imperfections. The image that we see either there in front of us or as we take that form is complete. And then Tsenpeche means having all the auspicious signs of a Buddha. So sometimes you're going to see when you type in Buddha of compassion, it'll come as Bodhisattva of compassion. And this is a very long discussion, and it gets involved in Tantra. From the Tantric perspective, the Chenrezig is a completely enlightened Buddha. From our perspective, in the Sutric practice, he is still a Bodhisattva. So in this practice, it's an open practice. You're allowed to now see this image as a Buddha, complete with all the signs and marks and characteristics of a Buddha. Now, that's the visualization. You see the lotus arise with a moon disk, and then on top of that, you don't have to even see a seed syllable because this is a very short practice. Just visualize this lotus appearing in front of you or appearing beneath you, however you're seeing the generation. There's the lotus and then the moon disk, and then on top of that, dissolving from nothingness into light, and then clearly distinguishing this form of all those marks we see, the hands at the heart and the other two hands like this, holding a rosary and holding a lotus in full bloom. And they are complete, perfect wisdom, perfect compassion. Any questions coming up so far? I'll give you a moment to type anything if you've got a question about what we've talked about so far. Then I'm going to move on to the mantra recitation. So this is where we get into what preparations before we start speaking the mantra. The next line says, Tukar dateng Shri tar ngakikor. And Tukar means at the heart. And dateng means there's this moon disk at our heart, or at his heart. And there's at the very center of it is the syllable Shri. Shri is spelled H-R-I-H, but it's pronounced Shri. Shri. Usually when it's chanted, it ends up feeling like two syllables almost. Shri. Shri. So there's a little beforehand, then R. Shri. So that's at the center. And then on the outer edge of that lotus, or that moon disk at our heart, is the mantra, and it's the 6-syllable mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, that we're going to be reciting. Then the next line says, Dele Utru Sangi Jansem Chu. So that means from this, light radiates out in every direction, and that light extends outward to the Buddhas wherever they are, and the Bodhisattvas wherever they are dwelling, and it becomes an offering. So that light first goes out to the great beings everywhere, offering that to them with the hope that it gives them strength and power to come here and help us. And that's a key factor in our karmic development. The more developed we are, the higher our capacity in our consciousness and in our heart, the greatness of love in our heart, becomes the karma by which we can have more teachings coming to us, Buddhas emanating into our life, and so on. So we offer that to them first, with the motivation that that will be a key factor in developing the power within ourselves. Then the third line says, Denam chinlap nudrup dalaktim. So this is Denam, from that, their blessings come to us and melt into ourselves. So they send the blessings back on these rays of light and melt into us. This is all part of the visualization. Whether it really happens or not is irrespective of what it does for the brain to develop these qualities. This is Laryang Utra Drowe Diktip Jong. So then it says, then again, that light emanates from me. So now these blessings have come in, and now my light is emanating out to all beings everywhere, and it's purifying them of all negativities and all their mental and emotional obscurations, the things that get us down and hurt us, and then by which our actions harm others. So now the last line before the recitation is Tuji Chimpe Hurgyur Nakdrapto. So then it means, now I transform into the embodiment of great compassion as the mantra is being sounded. So we recite this mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. So let's just do a short 2-minute recitation of this mantra, and go through that visualization. See that the blessings come into you and that your light transforms and heals all other beings. And as you recite this mantra, the more you recite it, that light goes out, and every beam of light that hits any being, other humans, animals, insects, any kind of being anywhere. And don't even just see it going through this universe. See that light now penetrating through all universes, and it hits the beings that are in hell, and it lessens their suffering so that they can take a higher rebirth. It hits the hungry ghosts so that they are nourished by the food that they try to find, but it's always evading them. It hits the animals and it releases their anxieties, and it hits other humans and it opens their hearts. It hits the gods and the god realms and it softens their pride, and it makes them realize that suffering does exist. So see the repetition of this mantra not just going out to the people that you love, not just going out to the people that you know and that you care for. It also goes out to your enemies, and it turns them and transforms them into friends, and so on. So let's just repeat this a few times. Om mani padme hum, 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 m Now, after we've repeated this mantra, it says that Chinang Niche Ushu Migmegyo. And this means that all inner and outer phenomena, all the beings in the environment, Niche means all of these beings and all the environment, everyone living in it. Ushu means melt into light, and they melt into light and come into me. And then it says, Migmegyur. Sometimes you're going to see this in the sadhanas or in the writings as they become non-dual. It just means they all become the same thing. Non-dual just means there's no differentiation between one or the other, between subject and object. You just become the same. They become the same thing. And then we rest our mind in its natural state for a short meditation. So what it means in that natural state is I want you to imagine that your consciousness or your mind is like a mirror, and the only thing the mind does is reflect what is in front of it. So now sit in this meditation as though the mirror has no reflection. What would the mirror look like if it wasn't reflecting anything? So just rest there for a brief meditation. And now open your eyes, or open them all the way. Come back to the appearance of reality. And now, as with all Buddhist practices, the most important practice with the Buddha says is dedication. So we have engaged in good karma, a very meritorious behavior by doing this practice, and this visualization, and recitation of the mantra. So we are creating good karma through body, speech, and mind, and we want to dedicate this merit. We don't want to keep any of it for ourselves as a worldly response. We don't want it to come back to us in this lifetime as a worldly karma. We want to dedicate the karma, so it's going to transform the karma just so slightly as to be for the benefit of achieving enlightenment, for the benefit of all beings. So when you do something like giving money to somebody else and you don't dedicate the action of helping them, then it comes back as a regular worldly karma. You have that same, someone helping you in the future, which is wonderful. But we want the karma that is much higher, that develops the stability of mind and body to be able to penetrate into, see the ultimate state of reality, and transform ourselves into Buddhas to benefit all other beings. So we're tagging. We're kind of, just like when we do videos on Facebook or something like that, we do pictures, we tag somebody in it. You just put the picture up, anyone can see it. Nothing special. Once you tag it, that's a specific person goes, oh, there's something with me, about me on their timeline. It's the same thing with our karma. If we do this dedication, then that karma becomes tagged for the purposes of achieving enlightenment for the benefit of others. So the recitation that we say at the end of this particular practice says, and that means, by the merit I've created in this practice, may I achieve the state of powerful Chenrezig, the powerful Buddha of compassion. And through that, may I guide all sentient beings to that perfect state. So we say that. We also, in the Gelugpa lineage, finish with a quick, long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And I'll tell you in English first. It's basically, in the land encircled by snow-white mountains, which is a poetic term for Tibet, the source of all benefit and happiness flows in your person, Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso. Chenrezig is the Buddha of compassion, and the Dalai Lama is an emanation from that mind stream, and his name is Tenzin Gyatso, and that means ocean of great wisdom. Please remain until samsara ends. I'm going through it in my head. Yep, that's it. So I'll recite in Tibetan. And ask him to stay and have a long life. So, hope this meditation has helped you. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. Otherwise, have a great day, and may your meditations improve day by day.